You are listening to the Loida Lewis Podcast, hosted by Loida Nicholas Lewis. She's a trailblazing businesswoman, leader, philanthropist, and the widow of Reginald F. Lewis, the visionary leader who was the first African American to build a billion-dollar company. With unparalleled determination, Loida Lewis has not only excelled as a successful attorney, but also shaped a billion-dollar empire. Following the untimely passing of her husband, Reginald F. Lewis, she took the helm of TLC Beatrice, carving her legacy as a successful business leader. Be inspired and learn from her as she shares her wisdom, the secrets to her success in both business, in love, and in life. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn. With your host, Miss Loida Lewis.
Welcome to the Loida Lewis Podcast. And today I have the pleasure of presenting to you the executive chef at the White House, not just for one term, but for 30 years. And she is here, Cris Comerford. Thank you, Cris, for being here.
Thank you, Loida, for inviting me. It is such an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you. And I know that the White House has honored you because you have served so many presidents in 30 years. How many presidents have you served?
I have served 5 presidents.
5, guys. 5
Okay.
presidents of the United
But
States.
some of them have done 2 terms, so 8 administrations, 52 state dinners during my term.
52 state dinners. Oh, my goodness. So any of those 52 state dinners that is memorable to you? Or
Yeah.
are they all the same?
Yeah, no, each state dinner is pretty much, custom, meaning that, it is the greatest honor that our country gives to a visiting heads of state or a monarchy. So whenever we do state dinners, each of them are very intentional. We do a lot of research. It takes about 3 months of planning, preparation, and execution to make sure everything that we do is just right.
Wow, my goodness. So do you have people to help you to do the research and then to prepare the food?
Yeah, one great thing about, the state dinners, it's not like just one area that does the research. It is really a collaboration of all the different areas, in the beginning of a state dinner, we will get what we call as an FOA. It's called a forms of address from, let's say, a visiting country. For example, the State Department will send us dietary preferences, flower colors, anything that might be culturally taboo to use for a visiting country. So that way that when a country visits the United States, we have basically crossed the T's and dotted the I's and make sure that everything goes very well.
Yes, I know that you have officially retired.
Yes.
Yes, but just recently, the White House honored you. So can you just tell us, how was that?
It was such an amazing event that was actually yesterday. It's November 12th. When we did the event at the White House, hosted by Dr. Jill Biden.
Wow, the First Lady, no less.
Yes, and it's called a culinary diplomacy, kind of appreciation. And we honored not just myself, but the other American chefs who are part of the diplomatic corps that was put together by the State Department and the James Beard Foundation. So altogether, it was probably about 200 people. And then imagine the First Lady up the stage really telling you your life story in front of you, in front of the other chefs. It was really so heartwarming. It was just the most amazing thing.
Wow, Dr. Jill Biden telling everybody the life story of our kababayan, our fellow Filipina American. So you see that? So can you just describe more or less first chefs. Is this from the diplomatic corps in Washington, D.C.? All the embassies there?
Yeah, the diplomatic corps are like a list of all different American chefs. And what it does is that, we have pool of these different chefs. So let's say we might have events at the embassies. We might have to do some entertaining. And one thing about chefs and cooking, and like what Dr. Jill Biden said, food is love. And just like the Filipinos, we communicate through food. My mom always said when people come over, her first word is always like, did you already eat? Kumain na ba kayo?
Exactly.
Kain na. So everything revolves around food because food is such a connecting, item of like people coming together, having bread together, breaking bread together, and having that meaningful conversation. So like my job as a chef and all of this diplomatic corps chef is to make sure that we use this greatest tool in the universe, which is food, to bring people together.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Can you just give an idea of your last state dinner before you retired?
Yes,
With the Biden administration.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite state dinners, just because it's my last state dinner. It was the state dinner for Kenya. And we did it out in the South Lawn. I think you've been in one of the state dinners that we've done, and I saw you in there in your beautiful gown as well. And basically, like when we did the Kenya state dinner, we want to make sure that we take into consideration all of the dietary preferences of the principals. The principals are our First Lady, the President, the visiting President Ruto and his lovely First Lady Ruto as well. So we take all of these preferences and all of the wonderful essences and wonderful kind of flavors of their cuisine. But again, we are in the United States, so we are not cooking Kenyan food, but we want to use some of their flavors and nuances of their food and culture, be it in the cuisine, in the decorations, in the flowers, in the colors, and the entertaining. So a state dinner is a whole package.
So tell me, was this a first course, second course, dessert?
Yes.
For this state dinner for Kenya.
Yes.
And President Obama's father came from Kenya.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And actually, he was there and went to the back of the kitchen and gave us a hug.
No,
that
President
was really
Obama?
amazing. Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Even we had a picture with my daughter, Danielle. She was helping us as well. So he came out there and thanked us for the first course because it was like an early summer. It was May. We might have some beautiful spring vegetables, but we want to honor the beginning of summer because it was during the late summer. So we did an heirloom green tomato soup. It's very reminiscent of gazpacho, with wonderful cilantro and cumin and maybe some African spices in there. And then we roasted all of the different heirloom varieties of tomato and made a really, really super crispy tomato crisp. So you see this pool of green tomato soup, kind of sprinkling of different tomato colors. You have yellow, you have red, you have some oil of, the cilantro in there and green. By the time it got served, it was so stunningly beautiful and delicious as well.
That's lovely. That is lovely. And, just the grace and humanity of President Obama to come to the kitchen.
Yes, yes.
And did he give you a hug?
Of course he did. He always gives us a hug. And it was such an endearing, moment for the chefs. Whenever presidents would come down and thank us, because it's hard work, cooking for a state dinner.
How many people were there?
It was about 400 people.
400! They have to prepare. Oh my
Yes.
God.
And then I didn't tell you the main course yet.
The main course.
The main course, we did a braised short ribs, and it was paired with Maine lobster. I know you love your lobster. And I've tasted your amazing lobster that your chefs have cooked for you as well. So we paired it together, and I basically called it "It's the best of both worlds," because America has amazing Maine lobsters. We have some beautiful short ribs that were kind of cooked in cinnamon and spices, very reminiscent of like some, Kenyan stew. So we don't want to make it Kenyan, but at the same time, we want to honor, like flavors and nuances and things.
Ribs, beef ribs.
Yes.
It's very hard to cook tenderly.
Yes.
So how did you manage that for
Yes.
400 guests?
Yes. The first thing with beef ribs is that you have to make sure you have a very good cut. So we do like a boneless short rib, and we marinate it for 24 hours at least in what.
Ooh, I love that.
Yes.
24 hours marinade. So can you
Marination.
tell the audience
Yes.
what's in that marinade?
Yes, and normally, like the chefs, we have like this wonderful mix of vegetable. We call mirepoix in French. It's just celery, carrots, onion. We put bay leaves and thyme. We put some added cinnamon and peppercorn and red wine. The red wine is the key. So you have to make sure between all of those wonderful diced vegetables, all of those short ribs are submerged into that wonderful red wine. And then once the 24 hours is done, we take out the short ribs. We sweat all of the vegetables that were in there.
Wait. What does that mean,
Oh,
sweat?
sweat. Thank you for, yes, because I think I'm
not-
talking to the
yes,
chefs and
I
things.
am very simple cook, so I don't know what
Yes.
that means.
So what we do is that we take out all the short ribs. We kind of like brush off all of the vegetables that kind of stuck around it. These vegetables are key because we drain the vegetables, but we make sure that all the red wine are safe because we're going to use that for the sauce as well. Sweating means it's just like kind of like sauteing the vegetables in like a medium heat so that it gets, like sweating. You see like all of the moisture of the vegetable, and what it does, it releases the sugar and everything that's beautiful around the vegetables, and all the flavors will meld together. It's really such a delicious short ribs. But then we have to braise these short ribs in this red wine and this veal glass, which is just basically a veal stock, for about 8 hours. So, and then we take it out again, we cut them, and then we pour again the sauce on those ribs.
Wow.
It takes a lot of work to
Oh my
braise a
God.
short rib.
Before you even put it in the oven.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh my God, I can taste it. Don't you
Yes.
taste it, guys? All right? With all of those spices and the red wine and the vegetable. That sounds great.
Yes.
So, how do you make it tender?
The braising of beef, especially, cuts like short ribs, you always have to make sure you braise it like at a simmering temperature. You never boil it like, big, profusely boiling things. Just a slow simmer. What we call in the kitchen as slow and low.
Slow and low.
Okay, cooking
Okay,
it slow.
tips for everyone cooking there, all right? So you don't serve a very tough ribs if you don't cook it well.
Yes.
It's tough.
It's tough.
So
yes.
this is slow and low.
And low. And then you could see like towards the end of the cooking process that the ribs are starting to like, veer away from,
From the bone.
From the bones. But this one is boneless that I use. But like, like the nerves of the meat, you could tell that they're starting to separate. But it's fork tender that you don't even need a knife to cut it. That's how tender we turn
Oh
our
my
short
God, I
ribs.
love it. I love it. Can't you taste it, guys?
Yes.
Sarap. That's so good. So I guess the 400 guests were very happy.
Yes, they're very,
yeah.
very happy. So that was amazing.
It's surf and turf because you also had lobster.
We had lobster.
How did you do the lobster?
The lobster, imagine cooking like enough lobster for 400 people. And we basically like, make sure that we get at least half a lobster a person. You don't want to give a full lobster because that's way too much. So we had to cook at least 200 or more lobsters. And these are shipped directly to us. So these are all live lobsters.
From Maine.
From Maine.
Maine.
Yes.
Maine lobster.
Maine lobster, beautiful lobsters. And
1.5 pounds.
1.5 pounders, because that's the key. See, you know your lobster. Nothing bigger than that. And again, we have this mirepoix of different vegetables, the celery, carrots, and onion, and leeks. And then we put some white wine and some dill and parsley and let that simmer in
The
a
lobster.
big pot
In a big pot,
of
yes.
boiling water. But again, the
200
lobster,
lobsters.
we have to do it in batches because our pot could only accommodate, like maybe 30 lobsters at a time. So we have to do it in about 7 batches. But for a lobster, like a pound of lobster, you have to cook it for 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
So this has to be exactly like 5.5. So about 5 minutes and 7. So everything has to be cooked almost medium rare. So like about 6 minutes for each batch of the lobster. Then you have to shock it in ice water to stop the cooking process.
That's a new one.
That's a new one.
Take notes, everyone.
Yes, because like for a lot of people, that we have to cook for, we can't just serve it right away and, clean the shells. So we have to do this prepping that we do for bulk number of people. If you're just serving some guests at home, of course you cook the lobster, you serve it. But for this many people, we have to blanch it and shock. Shock meaning like soaking it in ice water to stop the cooking process, cleaning it and portioning it. And the portion control is very key for us as well.
Oh my goodness. So in your, of course, you need a lot of assistant chefs.
Of course.
Okay. So how do you choose them or somebody else choose who will help you? Who is in that kitchen in the White House?
Yes. The great thing about the kitchen in the White House is that we have 8 full-time chefs already, which is great. But for a sit-down dinner of 400 people, it takes more than just 8 chefs to get it done. So we would have like another maybe 50 to 60 chefs to help us.
My goodness.
What we call a plate up and dish up all of these wonderful dishes that we have prepared.
Because each plate has to be its own.
It has to be.
Yeah,
Yes.
isn't it? It has to be
Yes.
served and
Served
decorated.
And decorated. And one thing about state dinners is that they are not at the mercy of the chef's time. The chef's time is dependent on the principal's time, meaning that there's a very strict program during a state dinner that it takes maybe between 40 to 49 minutes between the first course and the main and the dessert course and coffee. That's pretty quick because they have to move to a next room to enjoy the entertainment or something like that.
Wow, so you have to be really on very strict time management.
Yes, and very organized.
Very organized.
Important.
So
yes.
how do you do that with more than 12 chefs? What did you say?
About, between like the 30 to 40 additional chefs. than
30
what
to
we-
40 chefs. It seems like a conductor.
Yes.
Organizing all of them.
Yes.
So just give us an idea.
Yes.
Okay, on the day itself, you have to give your instructions or whatever.
On
How
the
is
day
that?
itself, especially at the tent, we have to manage the tent and separate everything, meaning there would be 2 stations, 2 kitchens. So you have to divide up the 400. So that means each station will get about 200 plates. But you have to understand now that there's a lot of dietary restrictions. Very, very important. One thing that we chefs are very aware of is making sure that if a person is allergic to anything at all,
Some don't eat lobster.
Oh, yes. And could be highly allergic to shellfish or
Shellfish,
dairy
right,
or
yes.
butter or nuts. So one thing that we also consider is making sure that we give the right plate to the right people.
Exactly. My goodness. This is total organization. It's like going to war. They have to know who is who.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and what they eat.
Yes. Well, one thing with our butlers as well is that we assign table, for each of the tables. So there's butler assignments. They know the plates they're supposed to take. They know the guests because they're sitting like in the state dinners, there's like assigned seating. It's like going to the Asila train. You can't just sit wherever you
Anywhere
want to
else.
sit because it's very important. But that we know that the person who's allergic to a particular dish is this person sitting on this table. So we make sure that they just stay put where you are because it's very important that things are served to the right people at the right time and the right context.
Oh my God. Again, bravo to you to organize all of this, not only this one, but you say 50
Yes.
state dinners during those 30 years.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that wonderful, what you do. It's like, I can't imagine. I
Yes.
really can't imagine.
Yes.
So tell us, how did you land into the White House?
Yes, it's a long story.
30 years ago. Yes, yes.
30 years ago. Okay. It's a long story. I'm going to shorten the story right now because I grew up in Manila, Philippines. My mother, Erlinda, is from Bulacan. And they're known for like the women being great cooks. My dad is Batangueño. And the men are also known for being great cooks as well. And so when, growing up in Manila, Philippines, you smell mom cooking for like, there's 11 children.
You
So
were 11?
There's 11 of us.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
Yes, a good
11 children. Yes, very good Catholic family.
Yes, very good Catholic family. And then also growing up, like you go to the provincia to like spend your summertime with Lolo and Lolas. And I remember like, my grandpa having like their rice, plantation in the back. You pick if you want chicken for dinner or if you want fish, tilapia from the fish pond. They ask you like, what do you want for dinner tonight? And just growing around food, it just really made me think of food, but not really thinking it's going to be my career. So moving forward, in college, I told my dad I want to go to the University of the Philippines.
Okay, UP, University of the Philippines.
Yes.
Harvard is the UP of the United States.
Yeah. And I took food technology, but my father, who was a school principal, was like, no, Chris, you should go to Cordon Bleu. I'm like, I
For
didn't
college.
for college. Nobody goes to Cordon Bleu. It's a chef school. I don't
Yes.
even know chefs. I mean, I didn't even know what it means.
Cordon Bleu is a very well-known cooking school, French. Yes,
Yes, in the Philippines.
Wow, what insight your father had.
He was a school principal. He had the best insight, and father knows best all the time. Kaya makinig kayo. Your dad knows well, so
Yes,
listen.
yes. Yes,
Listen
father knows
to-
best.
Father knows best. But of course,
You are
that's-
number in your family of
10.
children. You're the 10th?
I'm in the 10th. Yes.
You are the 10th, meaning
Yes.
to say the last.
last among the young.
You are the youngest.
Yes, yes.
I see. So in a way, your father already has, and parents have already done their job.
Yes, yes.
So
he could tell that this is really my calling. But then when we moved to the United States, the food. Yes,
when was that?
that was 1983.
Okay.
Chicago, minus 33 degrees. That I clearly remember how cold it was. But then my mom was like, hey, I have a friend who works in a hotel. Let's go find you a job there while waiting because my food tech is not taking me anywhere because I did not finish college.
You went instead to Cordon Bleu.
No, I did not. I went to the University of the Philippines.
Oh, you did?
I didn't
That's
listen
right.
to that.
You went
So
to UP. Yes,
I
yes,
went to
yes.
UP.
And you took food technology.
Food technology. So, but then when I moved to Chicago, my mom was like, I have a friend who works in a hotel. And I came in for an interview. This guy with a white hat, white
Bow tie.
neckerchief. We call it, like a
kerchief,
scarf.
yes.
And then a white chef jacket with a white apron, white pants, white clogs. And I was just like stunned because I'm like, that's who I want to be. Because not because of what he was wearing, but when he came in the room, he had a total command of everybody and everything.
Nice.
And then at that point in time, I'm like, that's what my dad has been telling me, be a chef. So then moving forward, got married, moved to DC, and I started working as a part-time person at the White House.
Oh, you were able to apply.
I
at
was
the White House.
just as a part-time because I was already a chef at the hotel in Georgetown. It's called the A&A Hotel. I was a sous chef. But then when, they needed some help during the Nelson Mandela State Dinner, I came in. And I guess
And you had a friend who said, we need additional chef here.
yes.
Just like, with this Kenya
Yes,
state dinner,
you
need 50 at least.
Yes, so I was
see.
just one of the helpers. But Chef Walter Scheib was either impressed with what I did, so he offered me the sous chef job when the sous chef left for Chicago. And from then on, that's where it all opened up.
My goodness. What would you say were something that they saw in you that they, I want people to see how a person who was there just part-time just started to come in and then move up. So just tell them, what are the qualities that you had that the executive chef at the time said, okay, you can stay here.
Yeah, I think what he saw in me was more on just my focus with the job that he told me to do and the humility of just doing my work. And, because at the end of the day, it's really finishing your work well and just being focused. Everything else is secondary. Because
Excuse me, please listen. Focus. And just doing the job well.
doing the job well.
Right. It's not like, nobody sees it anyway.
Yes.
And then you do it.
Yes.
So that's the mark of success, Cris Comerford success. Okay? Very focused and doing it well. 110%?
110% all
okay.
the time. And not asking for any accolades or pat in the back because I do it for me and I do it for God. I mean, I'm a very faithful person.
Okay,
So,
did you hear that? I want you to hear that. You do it for yourself. Not so you will get plugged here, plugged here. No ego. You do it for yourself and you do it for God.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's
Yes.
beautiful, Cris.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what they saw in you.
That's what they saw in me. And I guess like during 2005, when the executive chef Walter Scheib transitioned, there
He
were
died.
No, he moved. They were looking for a new chef. So it's about 450 candidates that applied for the executive chef position. And then I told my sisters, like, if they want me, they're just gonna ask me. And this is
You
when
didn't even apply.
I did not in the beginning, but my sister Edna was like, no, it doesn't happen like that in the real world. You have to let them know that you're interested and you have to put together your bio. You have to be very professional about it. So she
Okay.
kinda,
Again, please. All right. Listen, everybody. You don't say, they know me. I'm good, so they'll call me. No. You write down, you do the job, you fight for your proper place. All right? Don't just say, they know me. I should not apply anymore. Okay? So she applied. Okay? Yes.
You gotta
Tell us about
apply.
it. Yes.
And then when I applied, that's when between the 450 people, I was appointed as the executive chef. But I have to give you this backstory about it.
Please.
Of course, they're very muted about, hiring the executive chef because they don't want any of the news to leak before the press office does the official release. So they told me to Cris, I know you're on vacation. You're going to Mexico. That was a Friday. You have to cancel your vacation or move it to a different date. And I'm like, what for? Of course, I'm like, I kind of had a feeling, but I didn't know what it was. So then they told me that yes, you are the White House executive chef, but you cannot tell anybody in the whole universe, including my mom.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
To keep that secret. Oh,
Yes.
my.
And you know how difficult that was? Not telling anybody.
Everybody. How about your family, your husband?
My husband knew about it, but my mom was kind of like, we talk every day, and I'm like, I can't tell her because she's gonna cheese me. So all of us,
absolutely.
all of the Chicago town will know that, and I
The
can't.
Filipino mafia. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the most amazing thing is that it was supposed to be released on a Monday. We went back to the hotel room Sunday night.
So you canceled your trip, or you made it short?
We made it short. We went to the hotel or to Mexico like 2 days later. We still made it. But then they promised me, we're going to release it Monday. So I was planning, I could call my mom Monday morning before the news comes out. But lo and behold, on a Sunday night, it was on CNN streaming. White House hires the first woman.
First woman, that's
executive
right.
chef, first minority.
That's
First
right.
Asian, first Filipino.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh my
So-
God. And this is during the term of,
The George W. Bush. This
George.
was August in 2005.
yes,
Yes.
George and Laura Bush.
Yes.
Right. Oh my God. 2005. What a big mark.
Yes.
That's historic. First Filipina.
Yes.
First woman.
First woman, first
Yes.
minority,
First minority.
first Asian,
That's
first
right.
Filipino. Yes.
That's right.
So,
Oh my God, they are so proud of you. Bravo. Bravo.
Yes.
You overcame all the 400 that tried to get the position.
yes.
Yes. So you have proved yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think, the whole time that they've been watching your temperament, don't think that while you're working, you're not being appreciated or you're being watched. People watch what you do all the time. How you treat people is very important. That's actually.
That's it.
Yeah.
Don't how you treat people. Do you treat them like they're servants? I am above
Exactly.
you or you're below me. Okay? Always treat people with respect. Okay?
Yes.
That's crucial. That's Cristeta because she's Filipina.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
And so you think that, no, you're just doing, she said it. You focus, you do your job 110%, guys. 110%. And always treating other people as you want to be treated. And so she's shown over all the other 400 who applied. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes, it made great news. And we
Yes.
were so proud of you.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
it
yes.
was. But it was one of the news that you like. You want something, but then when you got it, it's almost kind of like it was the scariest thing in my life. It was like I don't know if any of you were familiar with the movie Finding Nemo. It was the part where all of these fishes from the aquarium were trying to escape into Sydney Harbor, and they did. But when they got there, first thing they asked each other, they're like, "What now?" I felt the same way because now I got the job. It's what now? Because it's not easy being there. But one thing that resonated in my head is that this is what a pastor have kind of said. It went through my head over and over. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
Oh my
So-
God. Did you hear that, please?
Yes.
Could you repeat it again?
God does
Listen well.
Does, okay. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Meaning if you're called or if your calling is, or your passion is about something, you might think that you're not qualified enough to do such thing. When God puts you there, He gives you all the qualifications. He will give you everything that you will need.
Okay.
Okay.
So everybody, please, okay, recognize that when something comes your way, you have been doing a great job, you take it.
You take
and
it.
that's what you did.
Yes.
She applied and she got it. All right? And she doesn't say, "Oh, I'm unworthy." No. She knows God qualifies her. Okay? So that's very valuable lesson. That is so great.
Thank you.
So you took it on with confidence.
With
Because you know God
confidence, yes.
qualified you.
Yes. It wasn't easy though, because because in any kind of new position like that, I mean, everything is new because now everything is different. So I'm not just going to be waiting for things to happen. You make things happen. You have to preempt before things happen. You have to think about it. You have to prepare for everything. So be it studying, researching, working hard. I mean, it's a lot of combination of things.
So how did you manage that? You have a daughter. You have a husband. You have a daughter. How many?
Just one.
Just one.
Yes.
Okay, and she is
Danielle. She's an amazing woman.
Yes,
She's
yes.
23 years old. She
No.
just graduated from Johnson in Wales.
Wonderful.
She's a pastry chef as
Pastry
well.
chef also in the
Yes.
same line of business.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
But
So you have 30 years there. So you were pregnant.
yes,
You got married.
Yes, got
Oh my God!
married.
During those 30 years.
yes.
Yes. So
And-
how did you balance, a full-time work, very stressful,
Yes.
and and
Yes.
family.
Yes.
Husband, family.
Yes. One thing in life, like again, what I kind of alluded to earlier, is that you are equipped, but at the same time, you have to be cognizant of like what God needs from you as well. Meaning, like to get my like my life set, because it's a balance of everything. I love my career, I love my family, I love everything, but how do I fit it in one day? I start my day just really with a lot of quiet time, a lot of prayers. You have to start your day.
That's
Yeah.
how she starts her day. A lot of quiet. It's really prayer.
It's really
Right?
praying.
Okay.
And like I have an hour drive to work, and this is when I just make a list on my head. This is what I have. These are like the three most important things, and these are some of the least important things. But really coming in, really ready to tackle the day. It doesn't mean that you have to make sure that everything is done on that list. But as long as you know how to prioritize your day, God, your family, your daughter, and your career. So in that order, actually.
Listen, please. Look at her priority. All right? God first. And then everything follows. Her career. No, God first. Husband, daughter, career.
Career, yes.
Wonderful. Okay? Listen well. This is words from a woman of wisdom.
Yes.
So that's terrific. And
Yes.
so that's how you balance it
That's
all
how-
throughout.
Yes, and one thing that I have to give credit to is John, my husband. He gave up being a chef just so we could have a wonderful home that is also like, because our daughter is growing up, you don't want like two people just really so focused on their career that one part of our big part of our home is being, not neglected, but not really given so much importance. So we looked at ourselves, and he was like, Cris, it's okay. I'll step back a bit so that way you could do what you need to do, and then we'll take care of the family.
Oh my God.
It's teamwork.
That is teamwork. Okay, please, again, teamwork. You are not against each other. You are not competing with each other. Teamwork. And in this case, Cris had a White House job. And she is going to be, or she became, a chef, executive chef. So the husband, understanding that, knew, I have to stay home, raise the kid, be your teammate, because you're both together in one team. The Comerford family. Oh my goodness gracious. So many words of wisdom. So can you have, you have given us so much, but can you tell, sort of like for those who are aspiring to be a chef, maybe not executive chef at the White House, but chef to go up on that ladder and become chief executive chef of a hotel, private family or something, can you give, what would you advise them?
Sure, absolutely. I think first thing that I want to say is just, like, especially for women chefs, because apparently, according to statistics, like out of like, let's say a Michelin star or like a hotel in the executive chef world, there's only 6% are women.
6%. It's a man's job.
It's yes, it still is to this day. And so it's not, even though like a lot of women have paved the way and have made it like, like, hey, it could be done. It's not easy getting there, but then just, take heart. Just do what you love to do. Just focus on what's in front of you. Don't mind what other people say. Know that if you're good at what you do, that's where you should be.
You will shine.
You will shine. And don't wait until like a big pat in your back comes in, because sometimes it might not come at all. And that's okay, but it will come later on. So just take heart and just move forward.
There you have it, guys. The secret to her success. All right? She has the right priorities. And just be good at your job. Do what you love to do. Okay? And you will shine. All right. Wonderful. There are some questions from the audience, if you don't mind. One is from Esther D. Are there particular ingredients, cuisine, or flavors that you love working with?
Esther, that is a great question. The ingredients that I love working with are the ones that are in season. Because you know why? If an ingredient is in season, that means it is peak in flavor. So if you want to cook in the summertime, look in your backyard. Whatever is calling you, if the tomatoes are like super red and super bright and the peaches are starting to smell, those are the ingredients that you should cook with. It's not a matter of like, hey, I like this better. But when you go to like farmer's market or the grocery store, smell it, because if it smells, that means it smells wonderful. That means it's ready. So it's all the ingredients that are seasonal, that are local first, those are the stuff that you kind of dabble with at first.
Lovely. All right. That's great. Now for Francis L. How do you approach creating menus for events that have both cultural significance and strict dietary considerations?
Okay.
How do you do that?
Yes. Francis, that question really actually applies as a part of the culinary diplomacy, especially like in state dinners, whenever we create a menu, let's say for a visiting heads of state that has a lot of, cultural or religious restrictions. You have to honor all of those, because at the end of the day, it's about the guests. It's not about you as a chef. So you have to do a lot of due diligence in researching, and even food products. You have to look at your sources. If your sources are good, if your research is good, if you test your recipes, it will come out really, really well.
All right. Very good. Now, has your Filipino heritage influenced your cooking? And how do you bring that influence into your work at the White House? That's from Del J.
Okay, Del J, the way that my Filipino-ness has influenced me is really not just in my cooking, but it's in my attitude. It's your attitude of food is love, like what Dr. Biden always says. It is my, love language, because when I cook good food, it doesn't matter what cuisine it is, because it shows my love for you. Because it could just be like a simple adobo and rice, but it could just be in a spaghetti with just some Reggiano cheese and stuff like that. But if I make it, and I make it because I really enjoy cooking for people, that's how I do things.
That's the secret ingredient, guys. That's the secret ingredient. Love. It's taste. You can taste that. All right. This is from Edna P. Could you share a memorable challenge you have faced in your career, and how did you overcome it?
In any career, there's always challenges. But then you have to look at challenges are things that will make you grow better and stronger. It could just be a physical challenge, being a woman in the kitchen. Sometimes it's hard to grab a pot that's 8 feet above you and stuff like that. So just little challenges could be overcome by working smarter. But if it's some could be just mental challenges, because researching and things, some cuisines could be harder to do than others, but it's using the people around you as well, because there's so many multicultural people around me that if I have any questions, they are my greatest resource, are my staff.
All right. Not afraid to ask questions.
No, you shouldn't be afraid at all. Yes.
Not be afraid at all. Thank you. Thank you. Now this is from Winnie G. C. What advice would you give to chefs looking to balance cultural authenticity with creative innovation? Oh, wow, Winnie.
Okay.
That's some question.
Okay, Winnie. Okay, that is a very loaded question, because in your cultural authenticity, for example, as a chef, my role is to really please people, but culturally, I mean, I might have some nuances of things in me, like in my attitude, in my cooking. Like in my cooking, I'm really heavy on garlic, but in a good way. But, there are just certain things that, but you also have to look at the person that you're trying to please. Because again, it's not about you. If that person likes certain things, it's about them. So you have to almost kind of balance you. You have to look like, like let's say I'm doing a dinner for like 6 people and one of them only likes certain things. I'm going to honor that, whether I like doing that kind of food or not, because it's really about that person.
All right. Did you hear that, guys? What does receiving an honorary degree in human letters from the University of the Philippines in 2019 mean to you personally, and how do you hope it will inspire others in the culinary art and in the Filipino community? That's from Sonia D.
Yes, Sonia D, that was really an amazing question, because one of the greatest honor in my life is to receive the honoris causa from the University of the Philippines and to be recognized, because be it that I was not able to finish my degree, they were able to like really recognize the fact that I've done so much, not just for the country, but for our school ourselves. If you listen to the podcast I've been doing, I've been like really giving like ode to the University of the Philippines and how they've molded me into this really free thinker and just this open-minded person that is really, like truly, truly grateful. And it's, I mean, to this day, whenever I look at the photos of that, particular ceremony with all of the culinary students from the University of the Philippines lined up and, basically giving me an honor, it's really the best honor somebody could ever receive.
From the university.
From the university.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sonia, for that question. How do you continually refine your craft? From Wendy P.
Okay, Wendy, one thing in life is that learning never ends. Right, Loida?
That's right.
It never ends, because it's kind of funny. I was just even talking to my husband, like a week ago. I still keep looking at recipes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks good. Even to this day that I've done what I needed to do. I've cooked for more than hundreds of heads of states, and still in my head, I'm like, oh, that looks like a good recipe. So learning should never, ever, ever stop.
Okay.
So,
all right, you guys, whether you're young or old, learning never stops. You heard it from Cris Comerford. All right. From Erlinda T. I'm curious to know, has any U.S. president ever cooked a meal themselves in the White House?
Some of them dabbled actually in cooking. And if you actually, I'm plugging in for the People's House, it's actually a new interactive museum in Washington, D.C. It's adjacent to it's next to the White House. It's next to the old executive office building. It gives the public a little glimpse of what it is to be like living in the White House with the executive residence staff.
Really?
One of the presidents, yes.
That's a new one.
That's a new one. They just opened recently. And one of the videos that they have there is like President Eisenhower loving to grilling his own food and cooking his own meal, which if you, look back, President Obama loves to grill and to cook some food as well. So some of them do dabble with cooking.
That's great. All right. Are there any particular culinary skill or knowledge that you feel you have learned from your husband, your daughter, who are both chefs? That's from Noel V.
Yes, Noel V. My daughter is such a talented chef. And being a pastry chef, I mean, they have a different way of looking at things. I mean, I'm going to use the word anal in a good way because they are very particular about pastry chefs is more kind of like really science because they have to measure everything. There's no such thing as veering from a recipe. I learned from my mom's way of cooking a little this of this and a little bit of that. I don't measure anything, but things come out the exact same way. So
You have the
mine is
instinct.
instinct, hers is science. But but in certain applications, you have to use the science because there are certain recipes that require the exact recipe proportions, especially bread making, and pastry, and cakes and stuff like that. But with my husband, I love his creativity because one thing that he loves to do is that we're not wasteful with food at home. So he loves going through the refrigerator and seeing leftover of things. I'm like, oh, I could make some stuff with this. So we never waste anything. Any food left over is turned into something else that's really amazing.
Something new.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Very nice. All right. And I think this is now the last question from Ching N. Now that you have retired from being executive chef, what is the next for you?
Yes. Ching En, I don't think there should be a retirement word because people shouldn't retire. It's transitioning to something else. It's moving on and doing other things that could be things that you were not able to do so before. So at this moment of my life, I have a lot of projects that I have to do. I'm researching recipes. I'm reading a lot of books and I'm writing a lot. So there's a lot of projects that are coming from me.
May I suggest something? A book.
Sure.
A book from the chef of the White House.
Yes.
First Asian, Face Filipina, and all that. I think that would be a bestseller.
Oh, thank
Have
you.
you thought
Yes.
of that?
I think I have.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
Very good. And when you're ready, let me know so I can introduce you to publishing companies.
Okay, that
Yes.
would be amazing. Thank
yes,
you.
Yes. No.
Yes.
I think for everyone listening, it has been such a pleasure and learning from the first Filipina Asian woman executive chef of the White House, Cris Comerford. Cris, thank you.
Thank you so much,
you.
Loida.
Yes.
This is such an amazing time. And thank you for the audiences with your beautiful questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This is the Loida Lewis Podcast. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn together. Thank you.
You are so good.
The Loida Lewis Podcast, hosted by Loida Lewis, is produced by the creators of Over a Glass or Two, Jesse and JV, executive produced by Laura Nicholas Olace. Rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for a chance to be featured on a future episode. Have a question for Miss Loida? Just email us on askloidalewis@gmail.com. Your question might make its way to a future episode. Subscribe on all major platforms to never miss a beat. Thank you for listening to the Loida Lewis Podcast. Let's live, love, laugh, and learn together